In this video, I'm going to give you some tips to utilize your time more effectively. The idea of knocking on doors, it isn't for you to take a block of 1,000 houses and spend 3 days to knock on doors. Now look, my dear friend, in 1991, I was a RE/MAX top producer, and that's exactly what I did. I selected a group of properties in a whole side of the city. Me and another broker, we went and knock on those doors day in and day out. But today we don't do that. So what I want you to do is that to select the list of the properties you want to door knock carefully, you want to select a group of properties that they sell 10 times the average. So now, not only you do not door knock on every door, but you door knock specifically on a property that sells 10 times the standards. For example, on successorsdata.com, one reason for the success of our site is that we provide information on properties that they sell 10 times the average standards of 2%. So if I put 1,000 records of properties there, 300 of them will sell the first year. It wouldn't be a surprise for you to go drive by 100 of those properties and see there is 5 of them for sale. That's normal. If I hand you a list of 100 inheritance properties for you to knock on those doors, I will give you some suggestions. First, I will tell you, be sure you have your script ready. Practice it. Prepare yourself to say it flawlessly. Second, I would say make sure you smile. You will smile when you knock on that door. Third, I will tell you, door knock with expectancy. Then I will tell you, when you drive to the subject property, please do not park the car right in front of the front door, right in front of the property, and get off your car and go directly to that house and knock on that door. Here's the reason for it. So the reason is that if somebody is sitting in a living room and is looking at the outside and they see a car parked right in front of the house, and a gentleman or a lady get off the car with a piece of paper in their hand and they just walk through the front door to knock on the door, they'll already put their guards on. And that's not the person that you want to open the door for you. So park your car 2 doors down, before or after the property. In other words, to the left or to the right. Then get off the car and first go knock on the neighbor's door. If anything, you get to practice. And listen, even at the rate of 2% for sale, what are the odds that you knock on the neighbor's door, you list that one, and then you list the subject property? So knock on the neighbor's door. Many times they will tell you, hey, you should talk to my neighbor on the left. You know what? That property is actually vacant, and they're going to put the property up for sale. Now, so let's go review this thing one step at a time. When you go to the property, I want you to have your script ready and be prepared to say it. So let's say our script. Let's pretend our name is Joe. Hi, my name is Joe. I'm in real estate, talking to neighbors to see if anybody like to sell their property. By any chance, you know anybody like to sell their house? You folks been here for a long time? If you were to move, where would you move to next? Do you have any other properties you like to sell? By any chance, you're in the market to buy another house? Thank you for your time. This is your script. I can say it in 15 seconds, 17 seconds. Now, you can adjust the script to the specific needs that you need, but know the script in and out so the questions will come out of you flawlessly. All right, so now, let's go to the next. Now, I will tell you, out of 100 inheritance properties, there is gonna be 2 or 3 of them for sale. Don't worry about them, just go to the next one. When you knock on the door, here are the circumstances of the people. You knock on the door, a lady opens the door, says, yes, can I help you? Then you tell them, my name is, I say my name is Morry, I'm in real estate, talking to neighbors to see if anybody like to sell their property. By any chance, you know any of the neighbors like to sell it? They say, as a matter of fact, I might be thinking of selling my property. My husband of 42 years went to be with the Lord, and this house is too much for me to handle. I like to downsize. Here you are. See, that's the opportunity right there. You may knock on the door that the neighbor will tell you, you should talk to my neighbor. She lost her husband of 25 years, and she is thinking of selling the house and moving with the kids. I had a call from a gentleman named Ed. Called and says, you know what, I was knocking on those inheritance properties, And I knocked on one door, and the lady told me, you should talk to my neighbor because she just lost her husband and she's thinking of quitting her job and moving to Florida. He said, I went by the property a couple of times, and finally at 5:30 sharp, the lady parked her car. She was just coming from work, and I talked to her, and I listed and sold that property. Okay. Now, you are going to run into, out of 100 properties, you're going to run into about 3 or 4 vacant properties. And the answer is pretty simple. The house is just vacant. When there is a vacant property, your best source of finding the individuals is going to be the neighbors. And here's the reason. One, no neighbor like to have a vacant house next door because that attracts the different crowds. Nobody. Second, a vacant house is not usually upkept as good, so neighbors have a lot of motivation to get somebody good there to help the property, to maintain the property. When you talk to the neighbor, give them a good reason for him to help you. Tell him you can get a good family live next door who will maintain the property. You make sure of that, and that's enough motivation for him to help you. Ask him to give you the contact information of the people in charge of the property. Many times they will tell you, actually, that house, the individual who handles it lives 2 blocks down. You may want to go over there and talk to them. When you talk to a person that a neighbor told you, here's how your conversation should be. Hi, my name is Morry. I'm with Remax Realtors with Carol Williams. I was just talking to your mom's neighbor, and she was kind enough to give me your information just in case you need any help. Is there anything I can help you? See, if you are referred by a person, for example, for a job, that's a lot different than telling somebody, I'd like to apply for that position. You see, it's always referral gets a better chance of getting you what you want. And that person will say, oh, that was so kind of her. Yes, here's what's going on and all that. And there you are. That's how it is done. So let's review what we just said. You got your script ready. You prepare. You smile. You go knock on the door. You step back 10 feet. And you dress sharp. And you're expecting to get results. This is how it's done. And friend, let me give you a suggestion. I always had a picture of a person, like an attorney, somebody with power, like a president of a company. I always had that in my head for all these years. So when I would talk to somebody, I would picture that on my side. That's really my image that I was trying to portray. So don't think of yourself any less than a professional that offers services. You are a part of a solution to their problem. You're just as important as an attorney, an accountant, anybody else who would handle a banker. That's the service you provide in real estate. So remember that. People need your service. For example, on inheritance properties, most of them are sold through realtors. The objective here is not to save the commission. And of course, there are those that are sold to investors. Now, as for your skills, in time, you will do better. Look, if you're nervous, I can understand it, but it's not any more than you having a piece of paper in your hand and saying, hey, I was just talking to the neighbors to see if anybody would like to sell their property, as if you're taking a survey. That's perfectly normal. So don't be nervous. Just get the job done. And in time, you will do fine. Thank you.